A man who knows he is lost will look for a way out, but a man who thinks he is exactly where he is supposed to be, that man never moves, that man never changes. That man dies exactly where he is standing, wondering why nothing ever got better, wondering why the years kept passing and the life he wanted kept getting further away instead of closer. So let me ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with this question. When was the last time you did something that made you feel alive? Not comfortable, not safe, alive. When was the last time you went to bed at night and thought, yeah, I gave everything I had today. I did not hold back. I did not play small. I did not let fear make my decisions for me. When was the last time that happened? Because for most people hearing this right now, they cannot remember. They honestly cannot remember. And that is not me attacking you. That is me telling you the truth that nobody else in your life is going to say out loud. Your friends are not going to say it. Your family is not going to say it. The people around you are too locked in their own sleep to wake you up from yours. So somebody has to say it. Somebody has to step up and say, you need to wake up. Right now. Today. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Not when things settle down or when the timing clicks. Now. Here is what nobody talks about when they talk about the life you are living. The life you have right now. The one that feels okay. The one that feels manageable. The one that feels like it is fine. That life has a price. And you do not pay that price today. You pay it at the end. You pay it when you are 60 years old sitting in a chair looking back at 40 years of playing it safe. You pay it when you see that the dreams you had when you were young, the things you wanted to build, the person you always told yourself you were going to become, none of it happened. Not because you were not capable, not because the world was against you, but because you stayed asleep. Because every morning the alarm went off, and instead of getting up and fighting for the life you actually wanted, you hit snooze. Not just on the clock, on your whole life. Every single day, you hit snooze. And the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, and the months turned into years, and now here you are, wondering why nothing looks the way you imagined it would, back when you still believed it was possible. That is the price of sleeping. That is what is sitting on the table. This is not about getting fired up for 10 minutes and then going back to the same routine. This is about the fact that time is the one thing you cannot get back. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose a job and find another. You can lose a relationship and heal from it. But you cannot get back 1 second of time that has already gone. Not one. And every day you spend asleep is a day you are never going to see again. Every day you spend waiting, drifting, going through the motions, telling yourself tomorrow you will start, tomorrow you will get serious, tomorrow you will change. That day is gone. Done. You handed it to nothing. And the thing that stings the most when you really sit with that is not the big wasted years. It is the small wasted hours. The hour this morning where you could have worked, but you scrolled instead. The 45 minutes last night where you could have read, could have planned, could have done something that moved you forward, but you watched whatever was easiest. Those hours do not feel like much in the moment, but they are your life. Stacked up, they are your entire life. And you keep giving them away to things that are never going to give anything back. Now I want to talk about motivation because most people have this completely backwards. Most people are sitting around waiting to feel motivated before they do anything. They are waiting to wake up one morning and feel this surge of energy, this fire in their chest, this feeling of yes, today is the day, today I am ready, today I feel like doing the work. And the problem with that is simple. That feeling is not reliable, or when it does show up, it lasts 2 days and then disappears and you are right back where you started. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings come and go. Feelings lie to you. Your feelings will tell you to stay in bed. Your feelings will tell you that you deserve a break. Your feelings will tell you that you have done enough, that you can take it easy today, that you have earned it. And if you run your life based on how you feel, you will never build a single thing worth having. What actually moves people forward is not motivation, it is discipline. It is the decision, made once, not every morning, not every time it gets difficult, made once, that you are going to do what needs doing, whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is waking up when you do not want to. Discipline is sitting down and grinding when every part of you wants to do anything else. Discipline is going to the gym when you are exhausted, making the calls when you are nervous, writing when you are stuck, showing up when everything inside you is screaming to sit down and rest. That is it. That is what it is. And the people who have built anything real, anything worth talking about, anything that actually lasts, they did not build it because they felt motivated every day. They built it because they showed up every day, motivated or not, drained or not, scared or not. They showed up. And when you start operating from discipline instead of motivation, something shifts. You stop being a prisoner to how you feel on a given morning. You stop letting your mood decide your output. You stop handing your emotions that kind of power over your future, because your emotions are not qualified to run your life. They are not qualified to decide whether you pursue what you are meant to pursue. They are not qualified to decide whether you do the work that is going to change everything for you. You make that decision, not how you feel at 6 in the morning, not how tired you are after a long day. You. And the second you take that back, the second you stop waiting to feel ready and you just start moving, everything begins to change. Because action creates more action. You have to take the first step without waiting on your emotions to give you permission. Think about what you have been doing. Think about the last 6 months, the last year. Think about how many mornings you woke up and said, "Today is the day. Today I am starting. Today I am done messing around." And then think about what actually happened. You scrolled for 20 minutes. You made breakfast slowly. You told yourself you would start after lunch. After lunch you said after dinner. After dinner you said tomorrow for sure. And then you went to sleep and you did the whole thing again the next day. That cycle, that exact cycle right there, that is the thing that is killing your life, and it is not dramatic and it is not loud and nobody is talking about it. It is just this quiet, daily, slow leak that drains everything out of you until one day you look up and years have gone by and you are still standing in the same place, talking about the same dreams you were talking about back then. That is not bad luck. That is a decision. Every single morning when you chose comfort over commitment, that was a decision. And those decisions stacked up into the life you are currently living. And the painful thing, the thing that really cuts when you sit with it honestly, is that you knew every single time you chose the easier thing you knew. You felt it, that little pull in your gut that said, "No, not today. Not again." You felt that and you ignored it and you went back to comfortable anyway. And you told yourself it was just one day, just today. Tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow came and it was the same. And the day after that was the same. And at some point the voice in your gut that was pulling at you got quieter. Not because things got better, but because you wore it down. You ignored it so many times that it stopped fighting as hard. And that is the most dangerous place to be. When you stop feeling the pull, when the discomfort of not doing the work starts to feel normal, when settling stops hurting, because that is when the sleep gets really deep. That is when people stop trying altogether, not with a dramatic breakdown, not with some big moment of giving up, just quietly, slowly, one ignored day at a time, they disappear into a life that was never really theirs. And I need you to face something that most people will not face. The version of you that exists right now, the habits you carry, the patterns you run, the way you spend your hours, the things you keep telling yourself. That version of you built the life you currently have. The life you are living right now is the direct result of who you have been up until this point. Not the economy, not your upbringing, not the people who did not believe in you, not the bad breaks. You. The choices you made, the hours you let slip, the work you did not do, the discomfort you ran from every time it showed up, all of it added up to where you are standing right now. And I know that stings. I know the easiest thing in the world is to look around and find a reason outside of yourself. Find a person, find a situation that explains why your life looks the way it does. Because if it is someone else's fault, you do not have to do anything different. If the world is against you, there is nothing you can do. That story is warm. That story lets you off the hook. But that story costs you everything. The second you point the finger at something outside yourself, you hand that thing all your power. Power follows blame. Wherever you aim, the blame is where your power goes. You blame the government. The government controls your life. You blame your boss. Your boss controls your life. You blame your past controls your life. And you are left with nothing. No power, no ability to move. Just a story that explains why you cannot win, and a life that reflects it perfectly. But the very second, you stop and say, it is on me. All of it. The fair stuff and the unfair stuff. All of it is mine to deal with. The second you say that out loud, something happens. You get your power back. All of it. Because if it is yours to own, it is yours to fix. That is the deal. That is the only deal worth making. Now here is the part the sleeping version of you does not want to hear. Waking up is not comfortable. It was never supposed to be comfortable. Every single thing worth having in this life is sitting on the other side of discomfort. Every single one, no exceptions. The body you want is on the other side of 10,000 uncomfortable mornings. The business you want is on the other side of 10,000 rejections and failures and days where you wanted to walk away. The relationship you want is on the other side of the hard conversations you have been ducking. The life you want, the real one, not the one you scroll past on your phone, the one you think about when it is late and quiet and you are finally honest with yourself, that life is on the other side of the hardest stretch you are ever going to go through. And most people will not get there, not because it cannot be done, because they are not willing to stay uncomfortable long enough to earn it. This is what separates people. Not talent, not how smart they are, not luck or connections or timing. The willingness to be uncomfortable, the willingness to stay in the fire long enough to come out the other side as something different. Because everybody starts. Everybody has that first moment of fire. Everybody gets inspired. Everybody signs up, makes the plan, takes the first step, but almost nobody stays. Almost nobody is still there on day 30 when the excitement is dead and gone. Almost nobody keeps showing up on day 90 when it is still hard and the results are nowhere. Almost nobody is still in it on day 365 when they have failed more times than they can count and the end is not in sight. That is where people get separated. Not at the beginning, at the ugly middle, the part nobody posts about, the part where it is just you and the work and nothing else, and you have to decide whether you are still in or not. And when you are in that part, and you will be in that part, remember this one thing. The fact that it is hard is not a sign something is wrong. The fact that it is hard means something is real. Easy things build nothing. Easy things do not change you. Easy things do not produce the kind of result that matters 10 years from now. The hard thing, the uncomfortable thing, the thing that requires you to show up even when you have nothing left, that is the thing that builds the person you are trying to become. A blade does not get strong sitting on a shelf. A blade gets strong going through fire, again and again. That is what every hard day is doing to you. You are going through the fire. And you are being shaped into something that the soft version of you could never have been. Every hard morning, every day you showed up drained and did it anyway, every moment you wanted to stop and did not, none of that was wasted. All of it was the fire doing its work on you. I want you to picture something. Picture yourself at the end, old, tired, time almost gone, lying there looking back at every choice you made. Every risk you did not take, every dream you let go quiet, every morning you chose comfort over progress, and standing around that bed, not people, but every version of yourself you never became, the person who built the business, the one who went all the way with the craft, the one who had the hard conversation and changed the relationship, the one who got up every day and did the thing no matter what it cost. Every version of you that never got to live because you kept them locked away. Every time that voice inside you said this could be more, you could be more, there is something bigger waiting for you. You told it to be quiet. You told it to be realistic. You told it the timing was not right. And those versions of you are not there to comfort you. They are there because they never got to live, and they are going into the ground with you. Every bit of it, all that ability, all those things you were supposed to do and build and become, in the ground, unused. That is the reality for most people. Not that they failed and tried everything they had, but that they never really tried. They stayed comfortable. They took the safe road. They chose the life they already had over the life they could have had. And at the end, that is the one thing they cannot undo. You need to let that land. This is what is actually at stake, not your image, not whether people think you are crazy for going after something big. What is at stake is whether you actually live or whether you just pass through, whether you become who you were made to be or whether you take everything you were given and let it go to waste. Now I want to talk about the loneliness because nobody warns you about this part. When you actually wake up, when you make the decision to stop drifting and start building something real, you are going to end up alone for a stretch, and not the kind of alone where you are isolated and miserable, the kind where the people around you do not get what you are doing or why you are doing it, the kind where your old friends think you changed, where people you used to spend time with start to feel like they are from a different world, where you do not fit the way you used to fit. And that is going to be hard in a way the work itself is not hard, because the work is hard on your body and your mind, but the loneliness is hard on something deeper than that. Here is what you need to know about that stretch. It is not a problem, it is a signal. When you are actually moving towards something that most people are too afraid to even point themselves at, you are going to be out in front by yourself for a while, doing things most people will not do, giving up things most people will not give up, living a way that most people around you cannot understand. And the people on the couch are not going to cheer for you. They are going to question you, tell you to relax, tell you that you are taking it too seriously, wonder why you will not just come out, take one night off, stop being so intense about it. And there is going to be a part of you that wants to go back, that wants to fit. Do not let that part win. Because every person who made it, every single one, spent a long time out there alone before anyone showed up to root for them. There is always a stretch where it is just you, just your belief and your work and nothing else. No crowd, no validation, no proof that any of it is going to work. Just you deciding every single morning to keep going. And that is where most people stop, because it is too quiet. Because there is nothing coming from the outside to keep them warm, because they need someone to believe in them before they can believe in themselves. But that is backwards. You have to be the first one to believe. You have to clap for yourself in an empty room for a long time. And if you can do that, if you can stay in that empty room and keep working when nobody is watching, then eventually things change. And by the time the crowd shows up, you will not need it the way you used to. Because you already did the hardest thing. You believed before there was any reason to. Now let us talk about failure, because if you are going to wake up and actually build something, you need to settle this right now. You are going to fail. A lot. More than you expected. More than you think you can take. And every single time it is going to feel like a reason to stop. Like confirmation that you were wrong. That this was not for you. That you should have stayed where it was safe. And every time you are going to have a choice, let the failure be the end of the story, or let it be the next chapter. The people who built real things, things that lasted, failed more than they succeeded, way more, and they did not fail small. They failed big. They failed where people could see it. They failed in ways that cost them and hurt them and embarrassed them, and they got back up, not because it was easy, not because they had some special gear that let them not feel the pain, but because they understood something that most people never figure out. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. It is a piece of the process. It is information. It teaches you what nothing else can. Every time you fall, you learn something about how to stand. Every time something does not work, you learn something about what does. And if you stop treating failure like a verdict and start treating it like a lesson, you become very difficult to stop. Because now there is no result that can end you. A win moves you forward. A loss teaches you something. Either way, you are always moving. So stop being so afraid of getting it wrong that you never fully commit to trying. The half-committed attempt is the worst of all situations. You do not get the comfort of not trying, and you do not get the growth that comes from going all the way in. You are stuck in the middle, protecting yourself from a pain that is smaller than you think, and missing a reward that is bigger than you imagine. If you are going to do this, go all the way. Take away the option to retreat. Decide you are seeing this through no matter what the middle looks like, because the people who go all the way, who refuse to let failure be anything other than a temporary setback on a road that is still going somewhere, those people end up somewhere that the half-committed version of them could never have reached. There is something else I need you to think about. The story you are telling yourself about who you are. Because most people are walking around with a story that is years out of date. A story built from old failures, from things people said when they were young, from moments where they came up short and decided that was proof of something permanent about themselves. And they are living inside that story right now. Every time an opportunity shows up, they run it through that old story. Every time they think about going after something real, that story plays. It says you are not the kind of person who does that. It says remember what happened last time. It says you do not have what it takes. And the dangerous thing is that you have told yourself that story so many times it feels like truth. It feels like fact. It feels like just who you are. But it is not who you are. It is who you were. Or worse, it is who somebody else decided you were, and you believed them. And you have been carrying their opinion around like it belongs to you ever since. You are not your past failures. You are not the version of you that lost that thing, missed that thing, did not finish that thing. None of that is you right now, unless you keep choosing to make it you. And here is what most people do not understand about identity. It is not fixed. It is not something you were handed at birth. It is built day by day, choice by choice, action by action. Every morning you wake up is a chance to be a slightly different version of yourself than you were the day before. Not a massive transformation, just one decision more in line with who you are trying to become. One moment where you chose the hard thing over the easy thing, and those moments add up. Give it 6 months of making better decisions every day, and you will look back and barely recognize the person you used to be. Not because something fell in your lap, but because you built something, quietly, daily, one decision at a time. The person you want to be is not some far-off finish line. That person is being assembled right now out of what you do today. I want you to understand something about time because you are treating it like you have a warehouse full of it. You are acting like it is going to wait for you, like it will still be there when you are finally ready, when things slow down, when you get yourself sorted out. You are borrowing against a future that is not promised to anyone, and that debt always comes due. 75 years. That is what you get if everything goes well. 75 winters, 75 summers, 75 shots at actually doing something with the life that was handed to you. And every year that goes by while you are asleep is one you are never going to see again. Not one day of it, not 1 hour, gone. And in real terms, what that means is this: the year ahead of you is going to pass. It is going to pass whether you do something with it or not, whether you take the chance or keep waiting, whether you start building or keep telling yourself you are about to start building. Time does not negotiate. Time does not care about your reasons or your circumstances or how difficult things are right now. Time moves. The only question is whether you are moving with it or letting it drag you along while you sleep. Because 1 year from now, you are going to be somewhere. You are going to look back at this exact moment right here, and it is going to be one of two things. It is going to be the day you woke up, the day everything changed. The day you got serious and decided the life you actually want is worth going to war for. Or it is going to be another moment that passed, another year gone, another version of the same story. That choice is being made right now, not in some big dramatic declaration. Right now, in what you decide to do when this is over. That is where it happens. Now let me say something about obsession, because being interested in your dream is nowhere near enough. Being motivated some days is not enough. Having a goal written down somewhere is not enough. What it actually takes What the people who are living the lives they want actually have running through them is obsession. A complete, all-consuming, willing to sacrifice anything obsession with becoming the best version of the thing they are trying to be. And I know that word makes people shift in their seat. Obsession sounds like too much. Obsession sounds extreme. But what do you think Michael Jordan was? What do you think Kobe was? What do you think every person who has ever become genuinely great at anything actually was? They were not interested. They were not disciplined in a nice, balanced way. They were obsessed. The kind where it is the first thing on their mind in the morning and the last thing on their mind at night. The kind where they give up what most people are not willing to give up. The nights out, the comfort, the approval, the balance. All of it goes on the altar. And here is what people always miss about obsession. It does not mean your life has no shape. It means your life has one center, everything pulling in one direction. Everything you do feeding the one thing that matters most. And yes, that looks unbalanced from the outside. And yes, people will not understand it. But here is what being unbalanced in the right direction actually produces. Results that balanced people never get to see. There is a reason every person at the top of every field carries that same quality, that same fire behind the eyes, that same feeling that the thing they are building is the only thing that exists in that moment. It is not luck. It is the natural result of obsession applied over years. People who are interested watch what is possible. People who are obsessed make it happen. So here is where you are. Right now, in this moment, you have a decision sitting in front of you. And not the kind you make once and file away, the kind you make every morning when the alarm goes off. Every time the work gets heavy, every time you want to fold, every time it would be easier to go back to sleep. You have to decide, again and again, that you are done with the version of your life that is just getting by, done waiting for someday, done telling yourself that when things settle down you will finally get serious. Someday is not on the calendar. It never shows up. There is only today. There is only the next hour. There is only the choice you make right now. And what waking up actually looks like is not your life suddenly becoming easy. The road does not get shorter. The obstacles do not move. Waking up means you see straight. You see what your life actually is right now, not the story you have been telling yourself about it. You see the gap between where you are and where you need to be. And instead of that gap making you want to look away, it makes you hungry. Instead of looking at everything you have not built yet and shutting down, you look at it and feel something ignite. Because you are awake now, you can see exactly what the work is. You can see the person waiting on the other side of it. Because everything you want to build is already possible. Everything you want to become is already inside you. Every version of your future you have ever let yourself imagine when you were alone and honest and the noise was gone, the raw material for all of it is sitting in you right now. It was always there. It was there every time you played small, every time you settled, every time you hit snooze. It never left. It just got buried under comfort and fear and years of living below what you are capable of. And it is still there right now, waiting, not waiting for the right moment, not waiting for circumstances to line up, waiting for you to wake up and come get it. And I want to be real with you about what that actually requires day to day. It is not a big speech you give yourself once. It is not a quote on your wall. It is not a playlist you listen to when you need to get pumped up. It is smaller than that and harder than that. It is waking up tomorrow when the alarm goes off and not lying there for 20 minutes telling yourself 5 more minutes. It is sitting down to do the thing before you check your phone. It is saying no to the thing that pulls you away from the work. Not dramatically, not with some big announcement, just quietly saying no and going back to what matters. It is doing that today, and then doing it again tomorrow, and the day after that, not because it feels good, not because you are always sure it is working, but because you said you would, because you made a promise to the version of yourself that is waiting to come out. And every time you keep that promise, even in a small way, you are waking up a little more. You are becoming a little more of who you were supposed to be. And here is what nobody warns you is going to happen when you do that consistently. You are going to start believing in yourself in a way you probably have not for a long time. Not because someone told you that you could, not because you found a video that fired you up, but because you did what you said you were going to do. You showed up. You kept your word to yourself, and your own mind notices that. Your confidence stops being borrowed from other people and starts being built from your own track record. Every small kept promise becomes a brick, and bricks become walls, and walls become something you can actually stand on. So wake up, get serious, not tomorrow, right now, in this moment. Make the call. Decide you are not going to be the one at the end, staring back at a life full of almost. Decide those ghosts do not get to stand around your bed. Decide that every single thing that was put in you is going to come out. All of it, nothing held back, no apology for it. Decide you are going to stop managing the life you have and start building the one you want. Stop surviving it, start living it. Because you were not put here to drift. You were not put here to take the safest road every time and spend your years avoiding anything that might ask something real of you. You were put here to build something, to become something, to do something with the time and the ability and the chance that was handed to you. And every day you stay asleep, you are burning it. Every day you stay in that comfortable half-life of someone who could have been more, you are burning it. And somewhere in you, you know that. In that quiet, honest place you visit when the noise stops, you have always known it. That is why you are here right now listening, because something in you is ready. Something in you has been trying to come up for air for a long time. And I want to tell you something about that thing inside you that has been trying to come out. It does not care how long it has been waiting. It does not hold the lost years against you. It is not bitter about all the times you ignored it and went back to comfortable. It is still there, right now, today, with the same fire it had the day you first felt it, because potential does not expire. It does not have a shelf life. It does not rot or fade or disappear because you took too long to act on it. It just waits, patient, stubborn, refusing to leave no matter how many times you tried to bury it under distraction and routine and the noise of a life lived below its level. And right now, in this moment, it is giving you one more chance. Not the last chance, not a dramatic final ultimatum, just another chance. The same chance it gives you every single day you wake up and are still breathing. The chance to finally stop waiting and start moving. And moving does not have to look like a revolution on day one. It does not have to be this enormous dramatic leap that changes everything overnight. Moving can be small. Moving can be 1 hour today that you give to the thing that matters. One conversation you stop putting off. One morning you get up when you said you would, instead of lying there, negotiating. Small moves, done every day, without stopping, without quitting when it gets slow. Those are what build lives. Not grand gestures, not perfect plans, not the right time or the right conditions. Just small moves, stacked daily, until one day you look up and you are somewhere completely different from where you started. That is how it actually works. That is the unsexy, unglamorous, nobody posts about it truth of how every real thing ever got built. One small move at a time, by someone who refused to stop. You already know what you need to do. You've known for a while. That's the part nobody wants to say out loud. It's not that you're lost or confused or waiting for some sign to fall from the sky. You know what time you need to wake up. You know what you need to stop doing. You know what's eating your hours and what's actually building something real. You know all of it already. The problem is you keep letting things drag you out of it. You keep letting the noise back in. People, situations, weekends, one more night, one more conversation, one more hour of sitting there doing nothing that matters. You keep letting all of it pull you away from the one thing that actually counts. Staying locked in. That's the whole game right there. Everybody wants the result, but nobody wants to guard their attention like their life depends on it. And it does. Your life depends on it. Not in some poster on a wall kind of way. In a real, specific, 5 years from now, you're either going to look back at this moment and say, I held on, or you're going to feel the full weight of every single hour you handed away to things that meant absolutely nothing. There's a version of you that only exists right now inside your own head. A version that actually finished what it started. A version that stopped running every time things got uncomfortable, or slow, or thankless. A version that looked at every hard stretch and stayed in it anyway. That version of you is not lucky, not more talented, not born into better circumstances. That version just didn't let go. They stayed locked in when every single thing around them was screaming to walk away. And the gap between who you are right now and who that version is, that gap is not talent. It's not money or timing or connections or any of the other things people use to explain why they haven't done it yet. It's just focus. The decision, made over and over again, every single morning, to stay locked in no matter what shows up that day. I know what it feels like when life starts pulling at you from every direction at once. I know what it's like to grind for months and see nothing come back yet. To wake up already tired before the day even begins. When the people around you are going out, laughing, living what looks like a much lighter life, and you're sitting there at your desk wondering if you picked the wrong thing. I know that feeling. The doubt that creeps in at 2 a.m. when everything is quiet and your mind starts asking questions you have no clean answers to yet. Is this actually going somewhere? Am I right about this? What if I've been wrong about myself this whole time? I know that, and I'm telling you straight that feeling is not your signal to stop. That feeling is just what the road costs. Every single person who ever built something real sat in that exact same room with that exact same feeling eating at them. The difference between them and everyone who quit is that they stayed locked in anyway. That's the only difference. Most people treat focus like it's a mood. Like you either have it on some days or you don't, and when it's gone, there's nothing you can do except wait for it to come back around. That is the exact thinking that keeps people stuck in the same spot year after year. Focus is not a mood. It's a decision you make before the mood even shows up that morning. It's a line you draw before the excuses arrive. Before the distractions start knocking, before the weekend plans start filling your phone, before your body starts building its case for why you've earned a rest, you draw the line before any of that gets here. You decide who you are before the test comes. Because when the test comes, and it always comes without warning if you haven't already settled something in yourself, you will fold. Not because you're weak, because you left the door open. Staying locked in means keeping that door closed. Not once, not just on Monday morning when you're feeling fresh and ready, every single day without exception. Think about what you're actually doing when you let yourself get dragged out of your focus. Think about what's really happening beneath the surface of those moments. You're not just losing a day. You're not just taking a harmless little break that you'll recover from easily. You're sending yourself a message about who you are. Every time you say you're going to do something and then you don't follow through, you confirm something in your own mind. Every time you choose the comfortable option over the right one, you add another line to a story that works against you quietly. You start building a case against yourself without even realizing you're doing it. And after enough of those moments stack up, your own mind stops believing you when you make a new plan. Not in a loud, dramatic way, quietly, slowly. And when you stop trusting yourself, everything you try to do gets heavier. Every goal feels a little further away. Every plan you make feels less certain. The answer to that isn't finding a better motivational speech or a smarter system. The answer is doing what you said you were going to do, one kept word to yourself at a time. That's the only way the belief actually comes back. You think the people who made it had some clean, straight road. You think the people who built the things you want to build just had their focus handed to them, that life cooperated, that nobody pulled at them, that the work always felt rewarding and clear. That is not what happened. Not for a single one of them. Every person who built something that mattered did it while the world around them was suggesting they stop. While people who started with them moved on to easier things. While their own mind was manufacturing reasons to quit every other week. The difference was they stopped giving their energy to everything that asked for it and started treating their attention like something that had real value. Because it does. Where your attention goes, your life follows, and most people are giving it away every single day without even stopping to think about it. Distraction never looks like distraction when it first shows up. That's how it keeps winning. It doesn't arrive looking like your enemy. It comes dressed as a good time, a reasonable break. One night where you let yourself breathe. Your people showing up at the door with big smiles saying you worked too hard, You need to live a little, come out for just a few hours. And those people aren't trying to ruin anything for you. Most of them genuinely care about you. But every time you say yes to that, you are saying no to something else that matters more. You're saying no to the version of you that was planning to show up tomorrow morning at 5. You're saying no to the hour that would have moved something real forward. The world is never going to run out of reasons for you to not be locked in. Bars don't shut down. Parties don't stop happening. The phone stays full of noise. There will always be somewhere else your attention can go. What isn't always available is the window to build something that actually changes your life. That window has a time limit on it, whether you're paying attention to it or not. Think hard about what you're actually protecting when you stay locked in. Not just your schedule, not just how many tasks you get through in a day. Your identity, the specific version of yourself you decided to become. And when you let things chip away at your focus, even small things, even things that look completely harmless in the moment, you are making it a little easier to not be that person tomorrow, and a little easier the day after that. And then one day you look up and you don't recognize your own week anymore. You can't figure out how you got so far from the thing you said you were going to do. It never happens in one big dramatic moment. It happens in 100 small ones. 100 times you said yes to something that wasn't yours. 100 times you chose what felt good over what actually mattered. That's how people lose years without meaning to. Not to one catastrophic decision, to 1,000 small ones that each felt completely reasonable at the time. Being locked in doesn't mean you walk around miserable. It doesn't mean no rest, no laughter, no life outside of the work. It means knowing the actual difference between real rest and just running away from something that got hard. Because there is a genuine difference between those two things. Real rest is something you choose deliberately. It resets you. It makes you sharper when you come back to the work. The other kind is just avoidance that put on a nice outfit. And if you're being honest with yourself, and you have to be, because nobody else can do that part for you, you already know which one you've been doing more of lately. You know when you're actually recovering and when you're just hiding from the thing you don't want to face. Hiding doesn't fill anything back up. It just keeps you frozen in the same place and makes it feel acceptable for a few hours. Then you're back to the same weight, the same resistance, except now there's less time left and a little more of that quiet feeling you keep refusing to name out loud. People chase motivation like it's the thing that's been missing. Like if they find the right speech, the right song, the right morning that finally sparks something permanent, everything will click, and staying consistent will stop being a fight. And then the feeling fades, and it always fades, every single time, with zero exceptions, so they go looking for the next hit of it. Another video, another quote saved to the phone, another moment of feeling fired up, and the whole cycle keeps spinning. Up, down, up, down. Nothing real gets built because building something real needs what motivation cannot give you. It needs you to show up when the feeling isn't there at all. When it's flat and boring and nothing interesting is happening. When there's no reward arriving today. When nobody is watching and nothing is forcing you. And the only reason you have to do it is the decision you made before any of this started. That's not motivation running you. That's being locked in. And that version of you, the one that works when nothing outside is pushing it, that's the only version that actually builds something worth having. There was a stretch in my life when I thought being constantly busy was proof I was serious about where I was going. Saying yes to everything, moving fast, always in motion, always something on the calendar. I looked like I was building. I felt like I was building. I was worn out all the time, which felt like evidence I was giving everything. But when I actually looked at what was growing, when I really sat down and examined it honestly, nothing was moving the way it needed to. Things were shifting a little. Nothing was actually changing. Because I wasn't locked in on any one thing deeply enough for it to compound. I was spread thin across too many things at once. And that's its own version of the same trap. It's not only external distraction that pulls you sideways, it's also the feeling of effort that produces no real result. The days where you stayed busy from morning to night, and when you finally lay down you couldn't actually name what you moved forward. Staying locked in means being honest about where your sharpest hours go. Not just your time in general, The hours when you are completely present and firing, those are limited. Most people spend them on everything except the single thing that would change their situation. The people who stay locked in don't look the way you'd expect from the outside. Not the version they show when things have worked out. The real version. The version where they're alone in the same room for the 100th consecutive day working on something that hasn't shown any real signs of working yet. Where everyone they started alongside has quietly moved on to new goals that feel more alive. Where people who came after them have now found different directions and seem genuinely at peace with that. And these people are still in the same room doing the same work because they made a decision and have not let go of it, regardless of how it looks from the outside. That is what locked in actually is. Nobody is filming those days. There is nothing exciting happening in them. It's just a person and their work, day after day, grinding past the point where most people would have constructed a perfectly reasonable excuse to stop. The ones who can do that, who can stay in the room when everything around them is offering a way out, those are the people who eventually get to stand somewhere that most people never reach. Nobody tells you the locked-in phase is going to feel wrong sometimes. Not just difficult, actually wrong. Like you're being unnecessarily strange about your life. Like you're missing something everyone else is getting. Like you've lost your sense of humor about things. People will tell you that you've changed, and they'll say it with that specific tone. You used to be more fun. You need to find some balance. They'll be openly worried about you in a way that sounds like they care, but is really just their discomfort with how committed you've become. Because when you stay truly locked in, it does something uncomfortable to the people around you. It raises questions about their own choices that they don't want to sit with. So they make it your problem instead. They suggest you're obsessive, that you're unbalanced, that you're missing the whole point of what life is supposed to feel like. And you have to be settled enough in your own direction to hear every bit of that and go back to work anyway. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for why you protect your time the way you do. Your focus belongs to you. Keep it that way. The clock is what makes all of this feel real when you let yourself think about it clearly. It's comfortable to believe there's still plenty of time, still enough runway to drift for another little while before things need to get serious, still a chance to course correct after one more easy season. Maybe that's true, but sitting right next to that comfortable feeling is something else. Every day you're not locked in. Someone who wants what you want is working toward it. While you're still deciding if today is the day, they're already 3 hours into theirs. While you're recovering from the weekend, they stayed in. While you're negotiating with yourself about whether conditions are right enough to start, they started the day before and the day before that. This is not about fear. It's just what's actually happening. The distance between where you are and where you want to be doesn't close by itself. It only closes when you stay locked in long enough for the daily unglamorous work to compound into something. And that compounding, that's where it all actually lives. Not in one extraordinary day, in 200 quiet locked-in days that nobody witnessed. I want to talk about what happens when you make the real decision, not the one made on a motivated morning, not the one that follows a speech that got your blood going. The actual decision, the one that arrives from somewhere quiet inside you, where you're not excited and not emotional and not performing anything for yourself. You're just clear. You see what this is. You understand what it costs. You know there are going to be long stretches where nothing looks like it's moving and you keep going anyway. And you say yes. When that lands in you properly, and you'll recognize it because it doesn't feel like a surge, it feels like something settling everything around it gets simpler. You stop arguing with yourself every morning about whether today is the day. You stop considering every invitation to leave what you're building. The decision does most of that work automatically. And from that settled place, you just show up and you work. What tests that decision isn't something dramatic. It's the small daily moments that pile up. The alarm going off when there's no external pressure today and the pillow is comfortable and nobody is checking on you. What you do in that moment is who you actually are. The moment when you've been in it for 2 hours and the phone is right there and nothing in the world is stopping you from picking it up except the thing you decided before you started. That moment. The moment when someone hands you a reasonable sounding exit and part of you reaches for it. That moment. Those small moments are not small. They stack up into a life. Get enough of them right, and something genuinely changes. The locked-in state stops being something you have to wrestle your way back to each morning. It becomes your natural place. The work becomes the thing you return to rather than the thing you have to force yourself toward. But none of that happens without going through enough of those small moments and choosing the right thing again and again until it stops being a choice and just becomes who you are. Sit with something for a moment. What would your life look like right now if every single time over the last year, every time you faced a choice between staying focused and getting pulled somewhere else, if every single time you had made the right call? Think about where you'd actually be on the thing that matters most to you. Not finished, not perfect, just further along, more certain, with more of your own evidence that you're the kind of person who follows through on what they say. That version of your life isn't a fantasy. It's just the math of better daily decisions. Every locked-in day moved things forward. Every day you let go, you stayed exactly where you were. Over a year, over 2, over 5 years, that gap either closes or it opens wider. The only variable is how locked in you stayed through all of it. I've seen it play out from both directions. I've seen people who had no special advantage, no obvious gifts, no clean starting point, who stayed so locked in for so long that eventually nobody could ignore what they'd built. Not because of talent, not because of luck, because they refused to let go of their focus long enough for the work to stop building on itself. And I've seen people with genuine ability, real natural gifts, actual opportunities sitting right in front of them who couldn't stay locked in, who kept drifting back toward the things that felt better right now, who are still out there today talking about what they're going to do when the time is right, still sitting on potential they've never cashed in. The talent didn't separate them. Staying locked in was the only thing that separated them. That's all it ever was. There's a moment that comes for everyone at some point. It doesn't call ahead. It just arrives. A moment where you can see, with real clarity, what the next 5 years are going to look like if you change nothing. Not vaguely, specifically. You can feel what it's going to be like to be standing there unchanged. Same unused potential. Same explanations that sound more tired each time you say them. Same distance between where you are and where you always told yourself you were heading. Same feeling of watching other people do the exact things you had planned to do. That moment is useful if you don't waste it, because it's telling you the truth about something. It's telling you that the season for drifting has closed, that whatever phase of your life was about exploring and keeping your options loose and not being too serious about any one thing is finished. What comes next requires you to stay locked in, not occasionally, every day, like the thing you're building actually matters, because it does. From inside the locked-in phase, it doesn't feel like anything impressive. Most of the time it just feels quiet, like showing up to the same space and doing the same type of work and having no remarkable day to report, like choosing the same thing for the 100th consecutive time without any ceremony around it, like being slightly out of sync with people around you because what you're prioritizing doesn't line up with what they are and you've stopped acting like it does. Like tired, sometimes. The genuine kind of tired that comes from days where you gave everything to something that actually counts. But sitting underneath all of that, underneath the sameness of the routine and the quiet and the worn down feeling at the end of long days, there is something, a kind of steadiness, a sense of being in the right place, doing the right thing, even when nothing outside of you is confirming that yet. And that quiet inner certainty is worth more than any night you gave away to noise. Worth more than any weekend you handed over to things that didn't build anything. Worth more than the approval you got from being available to everyone and everything. Once you've had that feeling properly, you stop being willing to trade it away for a distraction. The people who are going to test your focus aren't strangers. They're close to you. They'll show up regularly without bad intentions. Just people who don't understand why you can't relax a little. People who experience your commitment as a comment on their own choices. People who genuinely believe you'd be happier if you loosened up and who want to help you get there. And some of them you care about deeply. That's what makes it genuinely hard. It's not someone you don't know pulling at your direction. It's someone whose opinion matters to you. And you have to figure out how to love those people without letting them redirect your life one event at a time. Because they will redirect it if the boundary isn't clear. Not intentionally, just by being themselves consistently. The answer isn't isolation. The answer is knowing exactly what your locked-in time looks like and holding that line without feeling like you owe a long explanation every time. Being completely present when you're with the people who matter. Completely locked in when you're in the work. The people who truly want something good for you will get that over time. The ones who can't respect it at all are telling you something you should pay attention to. The more locked in you stay, the more options open up later. Because staying locked in builds proof. First for yourself, then for the world around you. Every locked in day is one more brick. You cannot see the building from where you're standing laying bricks. All you see is the one directly in front of you and the next thing that needs to happen. It's tempting to stop and look up and wonder where the building is. Wonder if this is ever going to be visible to anyone. Wonder if you're actually making progress or just staying busy. And that exact moment, that moment of not being able to see what you're building yet, is where most people find their exit. Right when it was beginning to take shape, but not enough shape for outside eyes to confirm it. They leave, and someone else comes along and lays 10 more bricks on top. And that person gets to stand inside it. You have to stay long enough to stand in what you build, past the point where it makes obvious sense to anyone watching, past the point where the evidence outside you matches what you believe inside, on your own conviction alone, trusting the building is coming even when all you have in your hands is the next brick. Every morning is one choice, not about the next decade, not about solving the whole picture, just today. Am I locked in today? That's it. You make that one call, get up, and honor it. Tomorrow you make it again, the day after, again. What you are building through those daily choices, in the quiet, without an audience most of the time, is the real version of your life. Not the version you sketch out when people ask what you're working toward. Not the version that lives in the better hours of your imagination. The actual version. The one that exists entirely on the other side of all those daily decisions to stay and not let go. When you feel yourself drifting, and you will, that's not weakness. That's just the nature of doing something hard over a long period of time. Don't spiral. Don't give yourself 3 days of guilt and then spend another week climbing out of the shame of it. Just notice what happened. I drifted. Something pulled me out. Then come back. That's it. Just come back. Being locked in is not a permanent destination. You arrive at once and maintain without any effort from that point forward. It's something you return to, a practice. Some days it's smooth and the work moves and you feel clear all the way through. Some days you have to fight your way back to it from somewhere scattered. The people who build real things aren't the ones who never drift. They're the ones who always come back, every time. And every time they come back, they arrive a little more sure of themselves. A little faster at recognizing the pull and choosing differently. Staying locked in changes you in ways that go beyond whatever you're building. The practice itself, the daily act of protecting your focus, showing up, doing the work past the point where it feels rewarding, does something to you that nothing else does in the same way. It builds a quiet internal toughness, not the kind you announce, the kind that means you can carry things that would have put you down a year ago. The kind that means you stop needing outside confirmation that your effort is going somewhere because you've built your own. The kind that means when hard things arrive, and they keep arriving, that never fully stops, you don't come apart the way you once did. Because you've been training yourself through the practice of staying locked in to keep going when every part of you is asking to stop. That inner strength is the real thing you come away with. The goal you're moving toward is what got you started. The person you become in the process of moving toward it is what stays with you. Here's where you are right now. Standing somewhere a lot of people have stood. You can feel what it would mean to really commit this time, to stop the back and forth every morning, to make the decision and stay in it. And you can feel everything else too. The pull of the easier path, the world that doesn't ask anything hard of you. Both are real. Both are available right now. Nobody can make this call for you. Not a single person. You're the only one who decides which direction you walk. Either way, that becomes your life. Choose the easy path, and that's what you have. Choose locked in, and that's what you build. The question is only which one you can stand behind when you're older and looking back. Which one respects what you know is actually in you, because you know it's in there. That's the part that never goes quiet, no matter how much noise you stack on top of it. You know there's more in you than you've shown yet. You know the gap is real, and that knowing doesn't leave. It waits in every quiet moment. It asks you the same thing in every room you sit in alone. Are you going to stay locked in this time? Every time you push it down, you pay something for that. It collects interest. The longer it waits, the heavier it gets. I'm saying this because I think you already know. Something in you settled before you even got here today. You're not looking for a reason to start. You're looking for the last bit of weight to stand behind a decision that's already been made. So here it is. The locked-in version of you is not the strange one, or the joyless one, or the one who took it all too seriously. That's the real one, the one that was always underneath everything. The work you do from that place, the quiet, daily, unannounced work, that's not what you're giving up. That's what you're finally choosing. Stop waiting on perfect conditions. The conditions will never be perfect. The timing will not fix itself. The people around you will keep being who they are. The only thing that changes is the decision you make right now. That decision is available today. You can make it right now. Decide that this is the season you stay locked in, that you stop entertaining every invitation to drift, that you build the thing you were always supposed to build, one locked-in day at a time, one kept word at a time, one brick at a time until the building is standing and you are standing in it. Stay locked in, not because it's easy, because it's yours, because nothing on the other side of distraction ever felt like what the work feels like when you stay in it long enough. Stay locked in because every time you've let go, you've felt what that cost and you know exactly what it takes to get back. Stay locked in because the person you're becoming is being built right now in the daily decision to not let go. Nobody is coming to guard your time. Nobody is holding your focus in place for you. That job belongs to you alone, and you've given enough away already. To nights that meant nothing, to noise that built nothing, to comfort that kept you exactly where you were. This is where that ends. Your attention means something. Your time moves forward, one direction, locked in, every day, all the way to the end. You don't got to move mountains today. You hear me? You don't got to change your whole life by tonight. You just got to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. That's it. That's the whole game. 1% better. And I know that sounds small. I know that sounds like nothing. But you stack that up day after day after day after day, and you tell me that ain't a mountain. You tell me that ain't something. 'Cause I'm telling you right now, the people who win in this life, they ain't the ones who had the big moment. They're the ones who showed up on the days nobody was watching and did the work anyway. They did the boring stuff. They did the hard stuff. They did the stuff that don't make nobody clap for you. And they did it again and again and again until one day the world looked up and said, "Where the hell did you come from?" And they've been there the whole time. You just wasn't paying attention. I remember sitting there and somebody asked me, they said, "What's your secret? What's the thing? What's the one thing you did?" And I laughed. I actually laughed at them. 'Cause there ain't no one thing. There ain't no magic moment. There ain't no secret door that opens up and boom, you're successful. I said the secret is I got up this morning, same as yesterday, same as the day before that, same as the day before that. 365 days a year I get up and I do the thing. I don't wait to feel like it. I don't wait for the mood to hit. I just get up. And that's what people don't understand. They think discipline is this big dramatic thing where you're screaming in the mirror and punching walls. Nah, discipline is quiet. Discipline is boring. Discipline is doing the thing when nobody's there and nobody cares, and you don't even want to do it yourself. That's discipline. That's the real thing. See, everybody wants the results. Everybody wants to be on that stage. Everybody wants the body, the money, the business, the life, but nobody wants what it costs. And what it costs is every single day. Not some days, not most days, every day. You wake up, you do the work, you go to sleep, you wake up, you do the work again. And it don't feel like progress. That's the thing that kills people. It don't feel like you're moving. It feels like you're running on a treadmill and the scenery ain't changing. But it is. You just can't see it yet. The 1% is invisible. You can't feel 1%. You can't hold it in your hand. But over time, over weeks, over months, over years, that 1% stacks up into something that you can't even recognize. You look back and you don't even know the person you used to be. I had people in my life, friends, family, people who loved me. They'd look at me and they'd say, "Why are you doing all this? Why are you getting up at 4:30 in the morning? Why are you in the gym when it's still dark outside? Why are you reading books when everybody else is watching TV? Why are you saying no to going out? Why are you eating this instead of that?" And I couldn't explain it to them. I tried. I tried to tell them that it's not about today. Today don't mean nothing by itself. But today plus tomorrow plus the next day plus the next day, that's a life. That's a whole different life. And they'd look at me like I was crazy. And maybe I was. Maybe I am. But I'd rather be crazy and building something than comfortable and dying slowly. Because that's what comfort does to you. It kills you slow. It don't kill you fast enough for you to notice. It just drains you a little bit every single day until one day you wake up and you're 50 years old and you're wondering where your life went. And it went to the couch. It went to the phone. It went to all those nights where you said, "I'll start Monday. I'll start next month. I'll start when I feel ready." You were never going to feel ready. Ready is a lie you tell yourself so you don't have to start. While they were out partying on Friday night, I was in my room working. While they were sleeping in on Saturday morning, I was up running. While they were talking about what they were going to do someday, I was doing it. Not because I'm better than them, not because I'm special, because I made a decision. I made a decision that this life, this one life that I got, I'm not going to waste it being average. I'm not going to waste it being comfortable. I'm going to squeeze every single drop out of every single day. And if that means I'm alone sometimes, cool. I'll be alone. If that means people don't understand me, cool. They don't have to understand me. I understand me. And that's enough. That's all I need. You know what's funny? People see you winning and they call it overnight success. Overnight. Like I woke up one morning and the world just handed me something. Nah, there's no overnight. There's 1,000 nights. There's 1,000 mornings. There's 1,000 reps that nobody saw. There's 1,000 no's, I said to myself when everything inside me was saying yes, just take the easy way. The overnight part is just when they finally noticed. But I've been here. I've been doing this every single day. 1%, 1%, 1%. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. Nobody's going to make a movie about a guy who woke up at 5 in the morning and drank his water and went for a run and came home and worked on his thing and went to bed early. That's not a movie. That's a Monday. But you string enough Mondays together and you got something nobody can take from you. You got something real. You got a version of yourself that's built brick by brick, not built on some motivational high that fades by Wednesday. I love the mentality of just beating people silently, where they don't even know it. They're out there celebrating the weekend and I'm in here getting ahead. And I don't say nothing. I don't post about it. I don't need the world to know. I need me to know. Because at the end of the day, when I lay my head down, I got to answer to one person, me. Did I get better today? Yes or no? It's that simple. Did I push forward? Even a little? Did I do one thing today that yesterday's version of me wouldn't have done? And if the answer is yes, then today was a win. I don't care what nobody else thinks. Today was a win. And here's the thing. Here's what nobody tells you about the 1%, about the daily grind, about doing the same boring thing over and over and over. There's going to be a day, there's going to be a season where everything falls apart. Everything. Your plan don't work. Your body breaks down. The people you thought had your back disappear. The money runs out. The motivation is gone. The fire you had when you started is just ashes. And that's the test. That's the real test. Because anybody can grind when they're excited. Anybody can work hard on day one. Day one is easy. Day one you got all the fire in the world. But what about day 312? What about the Tuesday in the middle of winter, when it's dark when you wake up and it's dark when you get home and nothing you're doing seems to matter and nobody cares and you just want to quit? What do you do then? I'll tell you what champions do. They show up anyway. They don't feel like it, and they show up anyway. They're hurting, and they show up anyway. They can't see the finish line, and they show up anyway. Because that's what 1% means. It means today matters even when today feels like it doesn't. Especially when today feels like it doesn't. I knew a man, good man, smart man, talented man, had everything you could ask for, and I mean everything. He could have done anything with his life, and everybody around him knew it. His teachers knew it, his friends knew it, his family knew it, and he knew it too. That was the worst part. He knew he had it in him. He knew he was capable of something big, something that would actually matter, something worth doing. But he never started, or he'd start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. He'd go hard for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then something would happen. Life would get in the way. Some problem would come up, some distraction, some excuse, and he'd fall off. And then he'd feel bad about falling off, so he'd wait. He'd wait until he felt motivated again. He'd wait until the conditions were perfect. He'd wait until Monday. He'd wait until January. He'd wait until something changed. And nothing ever changed because he was waiting for the outside to fix the inside. And it don't work like that. It never works like that. And years went by, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And he's sitting there and he's got the same dreams he had when he was 20, but now he's 35 and he hasn't done a thing about them. Not one real thing. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is he still has the talent. He still has the ability. It's still in there. But now it's buried under 15 years of excuses and false starts and I'll do it tomorrows. And that haunts him. Every single day that haunts him. He can feel it in his chest. This thing that was supposed to come out of him that he never let out. And listen to me, listen. I'm telling you this because some of you right now are that man. Some of you right now are sitting on something and you know it's in you, and you know you're supposed to do something with it, but you keep putting it off. You keep saying tomorrow. You keep saying when I'm ready. And I'm telling you, if you don't start today, if you don't take that 1% step today, you are going to be that man in 15 years looking back wondering what happened. And you already know what happened. Nothing happened because you let nothing happen. 1% better. You know what that looks like? It looks like waking up 15 minutes earlier. That's it. It looks like reading 10 pages of a book instead of scrolling your phone. It looks like one more rep in the gym, one more set, one more minute on the treadmill. It looks like drinking water instead of soda. It looks like saying no to the thing that's wasting your time and saying yes to the thing that scares you. It looks like going to bed on time. It looks like keeping your word to yourself, because that's the thing that breaks people down. It's not the big failures, it's the little ones. It's the, I said I was going to wake up at 6, and I hit snooze. I said I was going to go to the gym, and I didn't. I said I wasn't going to eat that, and I ate it. I said I was going to work on my thing, and instead I watched 3 hours of nothing on my phone. And each one of those little breaks, each one of those little lies you tell yourself, they add up. They add up into a person who doesn't trust themselves. And when you don't trust yourself, you can't build nothing. You can't build a business if you don't trust yourself to show up. You can't build a body if you don't trust yourself to put in the work. You can't build a life if every promise you make to yourself gets broken before lunch. So the first thing you got to do, the very first thing, is start keeping promises to yourself. Small ones, tiny ones. I don't care how small. I'm going to make my bed tomorrow morning. Make it. I'm gonna drink 8 glasses of water. Drink them. I'm gonna walk for 20 minutes. Walk. And when you do it, something changes inside you. Something clicks. You start to feel like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I'm not as weak as I thought. Maybe I got something in me. And that's the 1% right there. That little win. That's how it starts. That's how everything starts to shift. You don't become confident by shouting at yourself in the mirror. You become confident by having a stack of proof that you are who you say you are. You become confident by doing what you said you were going to do yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. Confidence ain't something you find, it's something you build. One kept promise at a time, 1% at a time. And when you got that stack of proof behind you, when you got 300 days in a row of showing up, nobody can tell you nothing. Not a soul on this earth can make you doubt yourself, because you got the receipts, you lived it, you did the work, and nobody can take that from you. Nobody. But here's where it gets real. Here's where most people fall off. The fear, the doubt, that voice in your head that says, who do you think you are? What makes you think you can do this? You ain't special. You ain't talented enough. You ain't smart enough. You ain't connected enough. You don't come from the right place. You don't have the right background. And that voice is loud, especially at 3 in the morning, especially when you're alone, especially when things ain't working. And I'm going to tell you something that changed my life. That voice is never going away. You hear me? It never goes away. You don't beat it. You don't kill it. You don't silence it. You just learn to move with it. You learn to hear it and still take the step. You learn to feel the fear and do the thing anyway. 'Cause being brave don't mean you ain't scared. Being brave means you're scared as hell and you still move. You still do it. Every single person you look up to, every person you admire, every person who's done something great, they were scared too. They had that voice too. The difference is, they didn't listen. They heard it and they said, yeah, okay, cool, I hear you. And then they went and did the work anyway. They took their 1% anyway. And I think the biggest fear people have ain't actually failure. It's the fear of dying with all that stuff still inside you. It's the fear of getting to the end and realizing you had something in you, something real, and you never did nothing with it. They played it safe. They stayed small. They let the years go by doing things that were easy and comfortable, and now they got a comfortable life that they hate. They got everything they thought they wanted and they're miserable. And that's the crazy part, right? That's the sick joke of it all. You play it safe to avoid pain, and you end up in the most pain of all. The pain of regret. The pain of what if. The pain of I knew I had it in me, but I was too scared to try. That pain don't go away. That pain sits on your chest for the rest of your life. So you tell me, which is worse? The pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Because you're going to pick one. There's no third option. You either suffer the pain of getting better every day, or you suffer the pain of staying the same. Pick one. You know what's rare? Like, actually rare? A person who does what they say they're going to do. Think about that for a second. In a world where everybody talks, everybody makes promises, everybody's posting about their goals and their dreams and their vision boards and all that, you know what's dangerous? The person who just shuts up and does the work. That's the person that scares everybody. That's the one nobody sees coming. The person who says, I'm going to do this, and then actually does it. Day after day after day. Nobody knows about it. Nobody's clapping. It's just the work. It's just getting a little bit better than you were the day before. That's it. You can do anything you want. Ain't nothing holding you back but you. But you gotta start. You gotta take that first step. And then you gotta take the next one. And the next one. And you can't look at the mountain and say it's too big. You can't look at where you want to be and say it's too far. You just look at your feet. You look at the next step. Can you see your next step? Yeah? Then take it. That's all. That's the whole thing. Just take the next step. People always asking, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep going? And I tell them the same thing every time. I don't stay motivated. Motivation comes and goes like weather. Some days you feel it. Most days you don't. I stay disciplined. There's a difference. Motivation is when you feel like doing it. Discipline is when you do it anyway. Discipline is when it's raining and cold and dark, and your body hurts, and your mind is telling you stay in bed and you get up anyway. That's not motivation. That's discipline. That's a decision you made one time, and you don't revisit it. I decided I'm the kind of person who gets up. I decided I'm the kind of person who does the work. I don't debate it every morning. I don't negotiate with myself. The alarm goes off. I get up. That's it. That's the whole conversation. There is no conversation. And, discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. I heard that and it changed something in me. Because I used to think you had to love the process. You had to enjoy it. And sometimes you do. But most of the time, honestly, the process sucks. The process is boring and hard, and you do the same thing over and over, and nobody sees it and nobody cares. But you do it anyway, because you love what it builds. You love who it makes you. You don't got to love the push-ups. You got to love the person who does them every day without being told. What you do frequently becomes your frequency, and your frequency becomes your character, and your character becomes your life. Think about that. You are what you repeatedly do, not what you say, not what you think, not what you plan, what you do. And if what you do every day is nothing, then that's who you are. You're a person who does nothing. But if what you do every day is 1% more, one step forward, one small act of discipline, then over time, you become something. You become someone. You become the person who everybody looks at and says, "How did you do that?" And the answer is the same boring answer every time. I just showed up every day. I just showed up. Are you interested or are you obsessed? Because there's a big difference. Interested means you do it when it's convenient. You do it when you feel like it. You do it when the conditions are right. Obsessed means you do it no matter what. Rain, sun, tired, sick, broke, alone. It don't matter. You do it. Champions don't have an off button. They don't have a pause. They don't have a, "I'll take the day off and come back tomorrow." Every single day is the day. Every single day matters. And I know people look at that and say that's crazy. That's unhealthy. That's too much. And maybe it is. Maybe I am too much. But I'd rather be too much and build something real than be just enough and build nothing. I can't turn it off. I don't want to turn it off. People are talking to me, and in my head I'm counting reps. I'm planning tomorrow. I'm running through my schedule. I'm thinking about what I need to fix, what I need to improve, where I fell short today. That's my life. That's all I think about. Getting better, 1%, every single day. The grind is like, you gotta be there every day. If you're there 3 days a week, it's not as good as 5, and 5 is not as good as 7. But sometimes 7 you burn out. So you got to balance the discipline with the enthusiasm, because enthusiasm is fuel. You need both. You need the discipline to show up when you don't want to, but you also need to find a way to enjoy the process. And I know that sounds contradictory. How do you enjoy something that's hard? How do you enjoy waking up early and doing the same thing every single day? You enjoy what it's making you. You enjoy looking in the mirror at the end of the month and seeing somebody different. You enjoy the fact that the thing that used to be hard is getting easier. That's the 1% working. That's the compound effect in real time. You're becoming someone new and you can feel it happening. I got to a point where I couldn't even enjoy a day off, and people would say, "That's not healthy, man. You gotta rest, you gotta relax." And I hear them. I do. But here's what they don't understand. The rest feels worse than the work. Sitting still feels worse than grinding. Because when I sit still, my mind starts talking to me. It starts saying, "You should be doing something. You're falling behind. Somebody out there right now is working while you're sitting here. And I can't live with that. I can't sit with that." So I get up and I go. Not because somebody told me to. Not because I'm trying to prove something to anybody. Because I made a promise to myself. And that promise is 1%. Every day. No days off from being better. You can rest your body, but you don't rest your mind. You don't rest your discipline. You don't rest your commitment. There was a time in my life where I had nothing. And I mean nothing. I was 23 years old. I had no money. I had no job. I had no direction. I was sitting in a room by myself, and I looked around and I thought, this is my life. This is it. This is what I built. And it was nothing. It was walls and silence and a phone with no missed calls. Nobody was checking on me because I hadn't done nothing worth checking on. And that was the moment. That was my moment. Not some big speech, not some movie scene. Just me sitting there in the quiet realizing I got to change. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. And I didn't change everything that day. I couldn't. I didn't know how to change everything. But I changed one thing. I went for a walk. That's it. I put my shoes on and I walked around the block. 20 minutes. And I came back and I felt, I don't know, different. Not a lot different, just a little, like 1% different. And the next day I did it again. And the day after that I walked a little further. And the day after that I started reading something. And the day after that I started writing down what I wanted. And it was ugly. It was messy. It was so slow that most people would have said this ain't working. But I kept going. And 6 months later I didn't recognize myself. A year later I was a completely different person. Not because of one big moment, because of 365 tiny ones. Because I chose to be 1% better every day, and I didn't stop. That's the whole story. That's it. There's no shortcut in there. There's no trick. There's no hack. Just the same boring daily discipline repeated until it became a life. And I think that's the part that nobody wants to hear. Nobody wants to hear that the answer is time. Nobody wants to hear that it takes years. We live in a world where everything is instant. Instant food. Instant entertainment. Instant everything. You want something, you click a button and it shows up at your door. And so people think success works the same way. They think changing your life works the same way. They think I'll do this for 30 days and everything will be different. And then 30 days come and go and they look the same and they feel the same and they quit. Because they wanted it fast. And life don't work fast. The good stuff takes time. The real stuff takes years. The 1% over time is slow cooking. And what comes out of that slow cook is better than anything you could have thrown together quick. It goes deep. It sticks. It don't fall apart when life gets hard. Quick fixes fall apart. They always do. But the daily work, man, that stays with you. I sat there one night, late, maybe 2 in the morning, and instead of giving myself excuses, I just laid it all out. Everything I was doing wrong. Everything I was avoiding, everything I was lying to myself about, and I didn't sugarcoat none of it. I said, you're lazy, you're scared, you're wasting time on stuff that don't matter. You're hiding behind excuses that you know are fake. And it hurt. It hurt to be that honest with yourself. But that was the night everything changed. Because once you tell yourself the truth, you can't untell it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the truth was, I was choosing to be average. Every single day I was choosing it. And the only way to stop being average was to choose something different, 1% different, starting tomorrow morning. And that's what I did. And somebody said to me, they said, man, you know, looking back at your life, what's the one piece of advice you'd give? And I thought about it for a long time. And the answer was so simple. It almost felt stupid to say. I said, build a day you're proud of and repeat it. That's it. That's the whole thing. If you can build one day, just one 24-hour period where you did what you were supposed to do, where you ate right, where you worked out, where you put in the hours on your craft, where you went to bed on time, where you kept every promise you made to yourself. If you can do that once, you can do it twice. And if you can do it twice, you can do it 100 times, and 100 times is your new life. It ain't more complicated than that. There's this idea, and I heard somebody say it once. They said, think of your life like it's a movie, like the movie just started right now. You're the main character. What would that guy do? Would that guy hit snooze? Would that guy scroll his phone for 2 hours? Would he skip the gym because it's raining? Would he eat garbage and go to bed late and throw away another day? Nah, that guy would get up. That guy would do the hard thing. That guy would take the step even when it's scary. So be that guy. Be him right now. Not next week. Now. You know, there's a saying that I think about all the time. A habit missed once is a mistake. A habit missed twice is the start of a new habit. Never miss 2 days in a row. That's the rule. You can have a bad day. Everybody has bad days. You can fall off for 1 day, but you don't fall off for 2. You don't fall off for a week. You don't fall off for a month. Because that's where the spiral starts. That's where you lose everything you built. 1 bad day is nothing. 2 bad days is a pattern, and patterns become lifestyles. So if you mess up today, fine. Wake up tomorrow and get back on it. No guilt, no shame, no starting over. You didn't start over, you stumbled. There's a difference. The man who fell and got back up has more glory than the man who never fell at all, because he proved something. He proved he ain't the type to stay down. The fall ain't the story. Fall. Getting back up, that's the story. You know what the difference is between the person at the top and the person at the bottom? It ain't talent. It ain't luck. It ain't connections. It's what they did on the days they didn't want to do nothing. That's the whole gap. The person at the top did the work on the bad days. The person at the bottom took the bad days off. And over time, that gap gets wider and wider and wider until it looks like talent, it looks like luck, it looks like they were born different. But they weren't. They just didn't stop. They didn't take the day off. They gave their 1% on the good days and the bad days and the ugly days and the days where everything inside them was screaming stop. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. Say that again. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. You could work out for 12 hours on Saturday, but if you sit on your ass Monday through Friday, it don't mean nothing. You could read a whole book in one sitting, but if you don't open another one for 6 months, you didn't learn a thing. You could have the greatest day of your life today, and if tomorrow you go back to your old ways, it was just a blip. It's the daily. It's the every single day. It's the boring, ugly, nobody's watching repetition that builds a life. That's the 1%. That's the secret that ain't even a secret. Everybody knows it. Nobody does it. The hard part ain't knowing what to do. Everybody knows what to do. Eat better. Work out. Read more. Sleep enough. Work on your craft. Stop wasting time. Be honest with yourself. That's not complicated. A 10-year-old can figure that out. The hard part is doing it when you don't feel like it. The hard part is doing it when it's been 3 months and you ain't seen no results. The hard part is doing it when your friends are out having fun and you're in your room working on something that might not even pay off for years. The hard part is the discipline of the daily. The discipline of the 1%. The discipline of, I don't care if I feel like it or not, I'm doing it. And let me tell you something about results. Results are a liar. Results will have you thinking you're not making progress when you are. Because results show up late. They always show up late. You put in the work in January and the results show up in June. You plant the seed today and the tree grows in 5 years. And in between the planting and the growing, there's nothing to see. There's just dirt. And most people look at that dirt and say, it didn't work. But underneath that dirt, there's roots going deeper and deeper and deeper. You just can't see them. The 1% is the roots. You won't see it on the surface for a long time. But when that thing finally breaks through, when it finally shows up, it's going to be so strong that nothing can knock it down. Because the roots go deep. Because you put in the daily work. Because you didn't quit when it looked like nothing was happening. I tell people all the time, don't count the days. Make the days count. There's a difference. Counting the days means you're waiting for it to be over. You're just trying to survive until Friday. You're just trying to get through the month. That's not living. That's existing. Making the days count means every single day you actually did something with yourself. Every single day you did something that moved you forward. Even if it was small, even if nobody noticed, you noticed. And that's what matters. There's going to be people in your life who tell you you're doing too much. They're going to tell you to relax, to take a break, to enjoy yourself. And look, there's nothing wrong with rest. Rest is important. Your body needs it. Your mind needs it. But there's a difference between resting and quitting. There's a difference between taking a day to recover and taking a month to hide. Don't let rest turn into an excuse to quit. Don't let "I'm taking care of myself" become code for "I gave up." Rest so you can come back harder tomorrow. Rest so tomorrow's 1% actually means something. Don't rest because you're scared of the work. Somebody asked me one time, they said, "How do you stay hungry? How do you stay hungry when you already got something? How do you keep pushing when you could stop and be comfortable?" And I told them, because the moment I stop is the moment I start dying. Not physically, but in here, in my chest, in my soul. The moment I stop getting better is the moment I start getting worse. There's no neutral. There's no staying the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. There's no in between. There's no just chilling. You're either getting 1% better or you're sliding 1% back every single day. The clock is ticking either way, so you might as well make sure it's ticking the right way. You know what scares me? It ain't failure. I've failed 100 times. I'll fail 100 more. Failure don't scare me. What scares me is getting to the end of my life and knowing I didn't try. Knowing I had it in me and I let it die. Knowing I could have been something, but I chose comfort instead. That scares me more than any failure ever could. The worst thing in the world ain't losing. The worst thing in the world is knowing you didn't give everything you had. And if you give everything you had and you still lose, at least you can look in the mirror and say, "I left it all out there." But if you didn't even try, if you let your days slip by doing nothing, you can't get those back. You can't go back and redo Tuesday. It's gone. It's gone forever. And all you got is today. And what are you doing with it? Look at your last 5 years. Look at them honestly. What did you build? What did you change? What did you do with all those days? Because the next 5 years are going to look exactly like the last 5, unless you change something, unless you start doing something different. And it don't have to be big. It just has to be daily. It just has to be consistent. It just has to be 1%. Because 5 years of 1% every single day is a completely different human being. 5 years of 1% is a body you're proud of. Money in the bank. A mind that actually works for you instead of against you. A skill that you own, that nobody can take from you. 5 years of 1% is a life you actually want to live instead of a life you're just surviving through. So the question is, are you willing to do the boring work for 5 years to get the life most people only dream about? Because most people ain't willing. Most people want it now. Most people want the shortcut. And that's exactly why most people never get there. Every family deserves to have a winner. I think it should be you. But you got to disconnect from average. You got to unplug yourself from the mindset of good enough and plug yourself into the mindset of 1% better every single day, no matter how you feel, no matter the circumstances. A winner does more than expected every single time. That's what separates them. Not talent, not luck, not who you know. It's the daily 1%. The boring stuff, the showing up when you don't want to. That's all it is. And most people just won't do it. So here's what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you to change your life overnight. I'm not asking you to become a different person by next week. I'm asking you for 1%, just one, in. Wake up tomorrow and do one thing better than you did today. Just one thing. And then the next day, do it again. And the day after that, do it again. And don't stop. Don't stop when it's hard. Don't stop when it's boring. Don't stop when you can't see the progress. Don't stop when people around you don't understand what you're doing. Don't stop when your own mind tells you it ain't worth it. Because it is worth it. Every single rep, every page you read, every morning you dragged yourself out of bed when you didn't want to, all of it counts. Every time you say no to the easy thing and yes to the hard thing, that counts too. And it's all adding up. You just can't see it yet. But one day, and I promise you this, One day you're going to look back at this moment right here and you're going to say, that's when it started. That's when I decided. That's when I stopped waiting for the big moment and I started building with the small ones, day by day, 1% at a time. And by then, you won't even remember what it felt like to be the person you are right now, because you'll be gone. That version of you will be dead, and in its place is going to be somebody else. Somebody who kept showing up, somebody who didn't quit on the bad days, somebody who built something real, one ugly, boring, beautiful percent at a time. That ain't motivation. That ain't a speech. That's a daily discipline, and it starts right now. Nobody's coming. Read that again. Nobody. No one riding in on some white horse to fix what's broken in your life. No lucky break that finally tips the scale. No moment where the universe looks at you and says, okay, you've suffered enough. Here you go. That's not real. That has never been real. And the men who are still waiting for that moment, still sitting back, expecting something outside of them to change, everything inside of them, they are going to wait forever. They are going to die waiting. And the saddest part is, they'll spend the whole time believing it was just bad timing. Act like a man. 3 words. Watch how most men react to that. They tense up, get defensive, start explaining themselves before anyone asked for an explanation. And that reaction that puffed up, offended, who are you talking to, reaction that is exactly the problem on display. A man doesn't flinch at hard words. A man doesn't get his feelings hurt by the truth. A man hears something that cuts close and he leans toward it instead of away from it. Because he already knows. He already knows where he's been slipping. He already knows the distance between who he is right now and who he's supposed to be. He just hasn't had the guts to say it out loud yet. This video is for the man who's done pretending that gap doesn't exist. Because something is happening right now that nobody wants to name. Men are lost. Not lost like they took a wrong turn. Lost like they don't recognize themselves anymore. Lost like they wake up and nothing is pulling them anywhere. Lost like they've spent so long performing strength for other people that they forgot to actually grow any. They have the age, the size, the job, maybe even the family, but crack the surface and there's nothing holding it up. No code, no standard, no line they will not cross with themselves when nobody is looking. Just a man going through the motions and hoping the whole thing doesn't fall apart before he figures out what he's supposed to be doing. You know if that's you. You already know. And here is what that costs. Not someday, right now, today, every single day this continues. It costs you your own respect. And once that goes, everything else hollows out behind it. The relationship goes through the motions. The work is just time exchanged for money. The days stop feeling like they belong to you and start feeling like they're just happening. Like you're watching your own life through a window with no way in. That is not bad luck. That is not the economy or your upbringing or circumstances beyond your control. That is what happens when a man refuses to act like one. That is the bill. And most men are paying it every day without even knowing what it's for. That ends today, or it doesn't. Nobody is going to make that choice for you. And before we go any further, you need to understand something. This is not a conversation about what men used to be or what they should go back to being. This is not nostalgia. This is not about some golden era that may or may not have ever existed. This is about right now, the man you are today versus the man your life is asking you to become. Those two things are either getting closer together or they're drifting further apart. Every single day, one of those two things is happening. Every choice you make either closes the gap or widens it. And the reason most men feel that low-level constant hum of dissatisfaction, that background noise that never fully goes away even when things are technically fine, is because the gap has been widening for a long time and they feel it even if they can't name it. That feeling is information. It is your own self telling you something is off. The question is whether you're going to listen to it or drown it out with another distraction. Let's get clear on what acting like a man actually is. Because most men are working from a definition that has been wrong their whole lives, and that is exactly why nothing they try ever sticks. It is not being the loudest. You know this man. He's always telling you what he's going to do, always making sure the room knows how hard he works, how much he sacrifices, how little sleep he needs. Always performing, and underneath all of it he is terrified. That noise is fear wearing a costume. Walk into any room anywhere. The loudest man in that room is almost never the most solid one. The most solid man is quiet. He doesn't need you to know anything about him. He already knows what he is, and that is enough. The man who has genuinely built something doesn't announce it. The work announces it. The way he carries himself announces it. He doesn't say a single word, and somehow the whole room already understands. It is not about what you own. Men waste decades on this. The car, the house, the watch, the corner office. Some of them actually get there. They collect every single thing they were told would make them feel like a man. And then one day they're standing in the middle of all of it, and it's hollow, because things are just things. They break. They get repossessed. The job ends. The market crashes. The title disappears. What is left when all of that is gone? If the honest answer is nothing, then none of it was ever real. A man is what he is when he is completely stripped of everything. No car, no title, no account, no audience. What is there? That answer is the only one that counts. It is not shutting your feelings off. This is where a whole generation of men got completely turned around. They mistook numbness for control. They stopped crying, sure, but they also stopped building anything, stopped showing up for anyone, stopped feeling deeply enough about anything to actually fight for it. They locked it down so hard that nothing painful could reach them, and in doing that they also made sure nothing real could reach them either. That is not what strength looks like. That is a man who built his own cage and gave it a tough-sounding name. Actual emotional strength is feeling the full weight of something, and still making the right call, still doing what needs doing, still being there. That's the bar. Not going flat, going controlled. So what does it actually mean then? It means carrying what is yours without being asked. Looking at what your life requires, your family, your body, your work, your word, and meeting that requirement on the days you feel good, and on the days you feel like garbage, and on all the days in between. A man doesn't sit around waiting to feel ready. He doesn't negotiate with himself about whether today is a good day for the thing he already decided to do. He set a time to train. He trains then. Set a time to sleep. He sleeps then. Set a time to rise. He rises then. No bargaining. No 5 more minutes. No, I'll start Monday. He said he would, so he does. Motivation is something boys need. Boys need to feel something before they move. Boys need the reward visible before they do the work. Boys need the crowd cheering before they're willing to step up. Men don't run on that. A man does the work because it is the work, because he said he would, because the alternative is being the kind of man who says things he doesn't mean, and he will not be that. The emotionally young man chases motivation to do something hard once. The emotionally grown man uses discipline to do the same hard thing over and over and over for years without a single person applauding. That gap right there, that is the only gap that matters. Not talent, not connections, not lucky breaks, just that. And a man's word means something. This sounds like the most obvious thing ever said. It is not obvious, not anymore. In a world where people commit to things until something more comfortable comes along, where everyone is flaky by default, where plans are made to be broken, and promises are made to sound good in the moment, a man whose word is actually solid is almost impossible to find. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. Not when you feel like it, not when the stars align, because you said you would. Boys talk, men move. Boys want respect handed to them. Men make themselves impossible to disrespect, not by demanding anything, by being the kind of person who commands it without opening their mouth. Think about what it actually means to be that man. The man whose word is solid. In your family, in your work, with your friends, everyone around you has already figured out whether you are that man or not. They have already done the math. They have watched you long enough to know whether what you say is what happens, and they've adjusted accordingly. Some of them stopped asking you for things because they already know the answer. Some of them stopped counting on you showing up because you have a history of not showing up. And the worst part is, most men don't even notice this happening. They just feel a vague distance growing between them and the people closest to them, and they blame it on life being busy or people being difficult or circumstances changing. It's not that. It's the gap between your word and your actions that everyone around you has quietly measured and quietly written down. Close that gap. Not for them, for yourself. Because a man who can trust himself completely, who knows that when he says a thing it becomes real, that man walks differently. He makes decisions differently. He is not weighed down by the debt of 100 small broken promises to himself and everyone around him. He is free. And that freedom is something you cannot buy or fake or find anywhere except in the daily practice of doing what you said you would do. You become a man when you become responsible for other people, not when you get a license, not when you get a paycheck. The day you understand that your choices don't only land on you anymore, that how you show up or fail to show up has real consequences for the people around you, that is the day. And some men never get there. They go through their entire lives, making every single decision through the filter of what works for me right now, and the people around them absorb it. The kids absorb it. The partner absorbs it. The whole circle around that man pays for his refusal to grow up. That is not acceptable. A child can get away with only thinking about himself. A man with people depending on him cannot. Those are different situations with different requirements. A man provides. A man stands between his people and whatever is coming. A man makes the call everyone else is walking past. Not because he feels no fear, because acting like a man was never about feeling no fear. It was always about what you do while you're afraid. And here is something that gets missed completely in every conversation about this. A man is dangerous. Not dangerous like a threat. Dangerous like capable. There is a massive difference between those two things, and most people have been taught to confuse them their whole lives. You've been told to be harmless, to sheath the competitive drive, to not be too aggressive, too assertive, too much. And so men walked around trimming themselves down, softening themselves, making themselves smaller so nobody would feel uncomfortable around them. And then they wonder why they feel like nothing, why they feel like there is no real weight to them. Because there isn't. You removed it. You were told to remove it, and you did. A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has that under control. A gardener in a war is useless. A warrior in a garden is everything. The discipline of a man who could destroy something but chooses not to, that is actual virtue. That is actual strength. Weakness dressed up as peace is still weakness. It just has better manners. A man should be capable, physically capable, mentally capable, capable of protecting what is his, of standing his ground, of not folding when folding would be the easier option. Not because he is looking for a fight, because the man who is genuinely capable of handling something hard doesn't walk through life flinching at every difficulty. He walks through it differently, calmly, because he has done hard things before and he knows what he is made of, and that knowledge changes how he carries himself. You can feel it on a person. You can feel when someone has been tested and held up, and you can feel when someone has spent their whole life avoiding the test. Build the capability, do the hard physical things, not to impress anyone, because difficult things make everything else less difficult. Because when you train your body to go further than it wants to go, your mind starts believing it can do the same, and then regular life stops feeling like it's trying to break you all the time. Now here's the part nobody puts in the video, the part that gets cut from the highlight reel, because it doesn't look good and it doesn't feel inspiring and it will not get shared around. The moment you actually start changing, not talking about it, not posting about it, actually doing it, the people around you feel it, and most of them will not react well. Not because they're against you, because your movement is a mirror and the reflection is asking questions they don't want to answer. So the friend group gets weird, the jokes start. Oh, look at him, too good to come out anymore. Oh, he's changed, said like it's a crime, said like staying exactly the same your whole life is the thing to be proud of. And it will sting, because these people matter to you. That stinging is part of the price tag. Pay it. There is a stretch every man who has built something real has had to walk through. The loneliest stretch there is. You are too different now to belong where you came from. But you haven't become enough yet to have found where you're going. You are stuck in the middle with no map and no signal. Your old people think you've gone strange. Your new circle doesn't exist yet. The work you're putting in has no visible result. The discipline you're building hasn't paid off in any way anyone can see. And every single morning something in you is going to say, go back. Back where it was warm. Back where people liked you as you were. Back where the expectations were low enough that you could actually clear them. Don't go back. Going back is not going back to comfort. Going back is choosing the version of yourself you already know isn't working. Going back is looking the man you could become directly in the face and saying, I'd rather not. And maybe you can make peace with that. Maybe that's a trade you're willing to make. But you don't get to make that trade and then act surprised 5 years later when nothing feels different. Nothing will be different, because the man who was supposed to show up won't be there. You turned him away at the door when the road got quiet and cold and nobody was clapping. And I want you to really sit with that image for a second. The man you could become is real. He is not a fantasy. He is not some impossible version of a person that only exists in motivational videos. He is the direct result of the choices you make in the next 6 months, the next year, the next 5 years. Every decision you make either builds him or abandons him. He is being constructed or demolished in real time. Right now. Not eventually. Right now. And the thing that will hurt the most, not today but later, much later, is not that you tried and failed. Failure is survivable. Failure is actually useful if you let it be. The thing that will hollow you out is knowing you had everything you needed and you just never chose it. That you were capable the whole time, and the only thing standing between you and the man you were supposed to be was a series of small, comfortable choices that added up to a lifetime of almost what looks like emptiness during that stretch is actually construction. Every session in an empty gym, every morning before the city wakes up, every night you stayed in and did the reading while everyone else was celebrating things that won't mean anything in a decade. Every one of those moments is going into the ground beneath your feet. And ground doesn't show. You can't see it while it's being packed down. You only know it's there when you try to build something on top of it and it holds. The men who quit during the construction phase never get to see what their foundation would have held. They stopped during the part that looked like nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. They just couldn't see it yet. And what makes it harder is that people want you to do well, just not better than them. You will learn this. If you haven't already, you will. The same people who told you they were proud of you, who said go for it, who said they were rooting for you, some of those people will get very quiet the moment you actually start winning. Not because they're evil, because they are human and humans compare themselves to the people closest to them. Your success does not just make them happy for you. It makes them ask, why not me? And that question is uncomfortable. So instead of sitting with it, they find small ways to cut you back down. Oh, he got lucky. Oh, he had help. Oh, he's not that special. Watch for it. Don't let it move you. Just keep building and let the distance grow. You will win so big one day that the voices get too far away to hear. No luck in this. Or if there is luck, it shows up after you've already done everything that doesn't need luck to work. You grind yourself into position. You move in the dark with no guarantee. And one day you find yourself standing in front of an open door, and from the outside it looks like you got lucky, and from the inside you know it was 5 in the morning on a Tuesday 2 years ago, when nobody watched and nothing was. Guaranteed, and you got up anyway. That's where it was. That's where it always is. And this is the part men don't want to hear. Winning does not care about you. It does not care how long you've been at it. Doesn't care how much you've given up. Doesn't care about any of it. Sometimes a man outworks you and loses anyway. Sometimes the result doesn't match the effort, and there is no justice in it. Winning is not a fair system, and it does not promise you anything. But here is what is guaranteed if you don't chase it. Losing. That's the only certainty available. You sprint towards something with no promise of reaching it, or you stand still, and the outcome is already decided. Those are the two options. Pick one and live with it. Now the obsession, because everything before this is groundwork. This is the part where the fire comes in. The man who makes it through the dark stretch and the man who turns around and goes home, the difference between them is not talent, not even how hard they work in the simple sense. The difference is whether what they're building means more to them than how they feel on any given day. That's it. When the thing you're building outweighs your comfort, your approval, your need to be understood, your need to belong when it matters more than all of that combined, nothing can stop you. Because you stopped making decisions based on feelings and started making them based on who you decided to be. And that version of you doesn't flinch, doesn't negotiate, doesn't take days off from being himself. The man who wants it trains when he feels like it. The man who needs it trains no matter what. The man who wants it works when life cooperates. The man who needs it builds his work into the chaos of life, not around it. The man who wants it hopes to win. The man who needs it trains until winning is the only logical outcome. There's a difference between hoping to win and being so prepared that losing would genuinely surprise you. One of those men walks into a room carrying a question. The other one walks in carrying an answer. Be the second man. The obsession lives in the small moments, not the big ones. Not the championship. Not the moment anyone will ever see or film or remember out loud. The obsession lives at 9 at night when you go to sleep instead of staying out because you know what tomorrow morning requires. It lives in the meal you don't eat. The hour you stay when the session was already enough. The thing you show up to when you genuinely, fully, completely do not want to be there. Kobe was already done working out, ice on his knees, drenched, before anyone else on that roster even thought about rolling out of bed, days after falling short of the title, not punishing himself, understanding something that most men spend their whole lives missing. The work nobody sees is the work that actually makes you. The grind that goes unfilmed and unposted and unwitnessed is the one that builds the thing. Everything else is just the surface of it. Everybody wants to be the beast until the moment they find out what being the beast actually demands. That's always how it goes. The idea is exciting. The idea is easy to get behind. 3 in the morning is not an idea. Training when the gym is locked is not an idea. Being the last one there and the first one back and having nothing guaranteed at the end of it is not an idea. That's a daily decision that has to be made over and over without applause and without a sign that it's working. You cannot fake that. No shortcut to it. No course that installs it in you. You do it or you don't. And if you don't, own that. Don't dress it up. The dream stays a dream not because it was out of reach, but because you were not willing to pay what it cost. Your mind has to beat your feelings every single time. This might be the most important sentence in this entire video. Your feelings will keep you horizontal. Your feelings will build a case for staying in bed that sounds completely reasonable at 5 in the morning. Too tired, too cold, did enough yesterday. Nobody would blame you. Take a day. The feelings are not lying exactly. They are doing what they were built to do, which is keep you safe and still and comfortable. But the man you are trying to become is not built in comfort. He is built in the gap between what you feel like doing and what you do anyway. Your mind knows the difference between temporary discomfort and the permanent weight of a life you never fully showed up for. Every time those two things are in the same room, your mind has to win. No days where the feelings are in charge because you had a rough week. The feelings get acknowledged and then the alarm gets ignored and you get up anyway. The day your mind consistently beats your feelings is the day your life starts going somewhere that actually resembles where you said you wanted to go. Everything before that is just circling. And fear. Men run from fear their entire lives, build whole personalities around avoiding the things that make their chest tight. They pick the smaller version of the dream, the quieter life, the safer road, and they wrap it up in words like responsible, realistic, mature. But underneath the wrapping it is just fear with better vocabulary. And behind every single thing you are running from is a door. And behind that door is the version of you that you have been avoiding your whole life, because becoming him requires you to walk through the thing that terrifies you most. Face it, and you find yourself. Keep running, and you keep living as a fraction of what you were supposed to be. Fear is not external. You made it, which means you can unmake it. And when you do, when you actually walk through it and come out the other side, you don't just feel relief. You feel what real confidence actually is. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that looks at everything that used to feel big and thinks, is that all? What else have I been running from? You already know what you could be. That's the thing. That is the most painful part of all of this. You don't lack the vision. You know exactly who you're supposed to become. You've seen him in your mind. You felt it when you heard certain things or saw certain people and the hair stood up on your arms and you thought, what if that was me? What if the person everyone wrote off became the one nobody could look past? What if I actually stopped choosing the comfortable version of myself and just became him? He is not somewhere else. He is already in there, has been the whole time. He just needs you to stop picking ease over him every morning. There's something nobody ever talks about when they talk about becoming a man. The internal war. The one inside your own head that nobody can see and nobody can fight for you. You are going to go to war with yourself every single day. The lazy version of you versus the man you're trying to build. The version that wants to stay comfortable versus the version that knows comfort is slowly killing everything you could become. That war does not take days off. It does not get easier once you've been at it for a while. If anything, it gets more interesting, because as you get stronger, the lazy version of you gets more creative, the excuses get smarter, the justifications get more reasonable sounding. That's how you know you're growing. When the voice that wants to stop starts arguing like a lawyer instead of a child, and your only job is to beat it anyway, every single day. Run the miles, do the reps, make the calls, keep the promises, beat the voice, go to sleep, wake up, do it again. And the inner enemy, that thing inside you that has been sabotaging you your whole life, that is the only real enemy you have. Everything outside of you is just weather. The market, the critics, the people who doubted you, the circumstances you were handed, all of that is weather. It changes, it passes, it cannot actually stop you unless you let it. But the enemy inside you is with you every second of every day. He lives in your head. He knows every weakness. He knows exactly what to say to make you fold. He is the one who convinces you to check the phone instead of doing the work. He is the one who says you've done enough. He is the one who makes the comfortable choice sound like the wise one. You beat him by not listening, not by arguing with him, not by trying to negotiate, just by moving anyway. Moving before he finishes making his case. Get up before he has time to talk you out of it. Train before he builds his argument. Every time you move before he finishes talking, you win. Every time you wait for him to finish, you lose. It is that simple. One more thing before we land this, and this one is for the men who have already been through something. The men who took a hit, lost a job, lost a relationship, lost their health, lost someone they loved, made a mistake that cost them something real and haven't fully gotten back up yet. This is for the man who got knocked down and is still sitting on the floor telling himself he just needs a little more time. You've had the time. You know you've had the time. The time stopped being the issue a while ago. What's keeping you down now is not the original hit. It's the story you've been telling yourself about the hit. The story that says you're different from other men who recovered, that your situation is more complicated, that the damage was worse than what other people deal with, that maybe you just aren't built to get back up from this one. That story is a lie. It is a very comfortable, very convincing lie, but it is still a lie. Men have come back from things that would break most people, and they came back not because they felt ready, but because they decided the floor was not where they were going to live. The comeback is not an event. It is a decision followed by another decision followed by another one after that. It starts small, smaller than you think it should. It starts with one morning where you do the thing you said you would do, and then the next morning, and it builds from there. You are not too far gone. You are not past the point of return. The only version of too far gone is dead, and you are not dead. You are just still sitting on the floor deciding if you're serious. Get up, not because you feel ready, because the floor is not the answer, and you already know it. Back to the ground level now, because all of that means nothing if it evaporates the moment this ends. Acting like a man in real life, not the cinematic version. The actual Tuesday at 6 in the morning version looks like keeping the promise you made to yourself when nobody was watching. Getting up at the time you said, not 4 minutes after, at the time you said, because you said so, because the relationship you have with yourself is made entirely of moments like this one. Every time you fold on a promise to yourself, you chip away at the only foundation that matters. Every time you hold it, you add something that cannot be taken away. That self-trust, the deep knowledge that when you decide something, it happens, that is worth more than any external result you could chase. Because when you have that, you don't need anyone to believe in you. You already do. Acting like a man looks like making the decision everyone around you is walking past, the conversation that needs to happen and keeps not happening, the boundary that needs to exist and keeps not existing, the call that's been sitting there for months while everyone pretends not to see it. A man sees it, a man handles it, not because he enjoys difficult things, because letting it sit there costs more over time, and a man thinks in terms of time. Boys optimize for this afternoon. Men optimize for the next 10 years. Acting like a man looks like being solid in your own skin without needing anyone to confirm it. Not comfortable in the way that means you've stopped growing. Solid in the way that means you don't need the room to decide who you are before you walk in. You were there for every morning nobody else witnessed. You know what you built and how you built it. You don't need a witness to confirm what you already lived through. That is not arrogance. That is a man who knows himself because he has actually tested himself repeatedly, in private, with no audience. Lose the money and you've lost nothing that can't come back. Lose the health and you've lost something real. Lose the character and there is nothing left to rebuild from. Character is the whole thing. Everything else is circumstance. Everything else is weather. Character is the ground. A man without it has nothing to stand on when the weather turns. A man with it can lose everything and still be the foundation. Still be the thing other things are built on. That is who you're trying to become. That is the actual target. There is a moment. Every man hits it or he doesn't. The moment where it becomes completely clear that nobody is coming. Not a friend, not a parent, not the right opportunity, not the universe finally deciding to cooperate. Nothing is riding in. The rescue was never on its way. And in that moment, a boy panics and starts looking harder for someone to save him. And a man gets quiet and gets to work. Some men live their entire lives without hitting that moment. They die still waiting. Absolutely convinced that the thing that was going to change everything was just around the next corner. It wasn't. It was never around any corner. It was always right here, always inside them, always waiting for them to stop looking elsewhere and pick it up. You are the only one who's going to do this. Say that to yourself, not as a burden, as the most freeing thing you have ever heard. You are the only one, which means there is no one left to wait for, no more watching the door, no more hoping someone else notices the work and decides to give you the break you deserve. It is just you and what you choose to do with whatever time is left. And you have more time than you think. And you are more capable than you've been allowing yourself to be. And the man you've been circling around, coming close to and then retreating from, is not some impossible version of a person. He is one real decision away, not an announcement, not a post. A decision that gets lived out before sunrise in the quiet, when the whole world is still asleep and nothing is forcing you and everything is still optional and you do it anyway. Boys talk, men move, boys blame, men build, boys ask for permission, men don't wait. The heaviest thing you will ever carry is not iron, not responsibility, not hardship. The heaviest thing is knowing exactly who you could have been and watching the years go by as someone else. That weight compounds. Every year you carry it, it adds to itself. Men who carry it for decades don't die light. They die heavy, full of something that had every reason to exist and never did. Full of the man they kept putting off becoming. Full of a life they kept meaning to start. Don't be that man. Get up, do it, make the call. Carry what is yours. Be the one your people look toward when everything starts shaking. Be the man who shows up not because the feeling was there, but because he said he would. Be the quietest one in the room. Be the most ready one in the room. Be the one who already settled this in his own mind so long ago that when the real moment shows up, it is nothing new. Just another version of what he's already done 1,000 times when nobody was there to see it. Because at the end of it all, the scoreboard that matters is not the one anyone else can see. It is the one inside you. The one that tracks every morning you got up versus every morning you didn't. Every promise you kept versus every one you folded on. Every time you did the hard thing versus every time you chose the easy way out. That scoreboard is running, whether you check it or not. And one day, not today, not tomorrow, but one day you are going to look back at it. Every man does eventually. And what you see on that board when you look back is either going to give you something or take something from you that you can never get back. Build the kind of score you can live with. Build the kind of score that when your son or your daughter or the people you love most look at how you lived, they see a man who showed up, not perfect, not without mistakes, but present, solid, real. A man who acted like one when it counted. Act like a man, not for the room, not for the followers, not for the version of yourself that exists online, for the version that lives in the dark hours, in the empty gym, in the promises you keep when breaking them would cost you nothing and nobody would ever know. That version is the real one. He has always been the real one, and he is not going anywhere. He is just waiting to find out if you are serious. Stop running from him. The choice is yours, same as it always was. Nobody handed it to the men you look up to. Nobody handed it to the men whose stories you tell. They made a decision in a quiet moment when nobody was watching and the easy road was right there, and they chose the hard one anyway.